Hello guys, this is the Coding Idiot, and this channel is intended for beginners and those who are planning to learn Python programming. Kamusta mga chong, we will talk about data types and how you can use them in Python. So as you can see, I have defined some variables here based on data types. Unlike other programming languages like Java, C++, or C Sharp, to name some, Python does not specify the type when declaring a variable. Yung value yung magdedetermine kung anong data type niya. So starting from the first one is the integer type o yung int. So sa madaling salita, whole numbers. Pwedeng positive o negative as long as whole numbers. The next one is yung float. Ito yung mga real numbers. Ito yung mga may decimal point to separate the whole part. Saka yung fractional part niya. Yung third one is yung boolean type. So it's either true or false ng value nito. Commonly used siya sa mga control statements like yung if statement to check the condition if it's true or false. Parang pag duda ka, niloloko ka ng girlfriend mo. Yun, pwede yun. Ginagamit rin siya sa mga loop statements like for and while loops as guard statement. Kung ipe-break o i-continue pa niya yung loop process. Parang best example dito, yung if cheating is equals to true, then break up. Else, continue yung pagiging martyr mo. Next one is yung none type. So, isa lang ang value nito, which is yung none. Labo ni Python Well, in Python, it represents nothingness. So, in short, wala. Parang pag-asa mo ay crash. Equivalent siya sa null in Java, if I'm not mistaken. Ginagamit siya sa mga variable na wala ka pang balak bigyan ng value. Parang dyan lang yan for the time being. Parang pag na-rebound ka, ganun. Next is yung string type. So, ito yung mga alphanumeric values. So, both letters and numbers. Including special characters and spaces. Pwede dito. So, I have a separate video tutorial about string. So, I can highlight the methods and attributes of the string class. And lastly is the complex type. Ito yung third numeric type ni Python. As the name suggests, complex siya mga chong. It's very confusing na kahit ako nalilito dito Well, according to my petty research, commonly used siya sa mga mathematical applications at partner in crime niya si CMath module. Dahil dun sa complex function ni CMath. Well, it's unlikely that you will use it in your programs unless you're doing a very specific coding like in a scientific field. So, hello data science. If you are planning to be a data scientist or a virtuoso in machine learning, deep learning, or artificial intelligence, I think you need to dig deeper in complex numbers. So, pwede pa kayo maging best friend. Wow! Let me give you a quick demo about what we are dealing with. Complex type actually has two parts. Yung real part, then yung imaginary part. Parang jowa, minsan real, madalas imaginary. Actually, it should be like this. Yan. Ganyan yan. I just want to make the example as simple as possible kasi nga it's complicated. Parang yung relasyon nyo. And this is more than enough to make this variable to be recognized as a complex type. here. And take note na sineset ni Python yung missing part to 0 as the default value. And for us to see that, we can use the real attribute of the complex class to access the real value. And for the imaginary part, you need to use the imag for imaginary. Like this. If we run the program again, you'll see that the imaginary part is 10 and yung real is 0 kasi nga basically it's 0 plus 10 then yung J. You will notice that the letter J did not appear kasi nga yun yung imaginary part. And for what it's worth, pag nilagyan natin ng real number yung sa left side, you'll see this. You can also use the conjugate function to obtain the conjugate of a complex value or yung values in pair. And also take note that if we get the conjugate of the complex value, it changes the sign of the imaginary part. So let's try that. Sorry. So as you can see, from a positive sign, it became a negative sign or negative 10 J. If I'm not mistaken, ginagamit siya in finding roots of polynomials. Well, ayoko pong masira yung buhay ko, so I believe it's quite enough. And I also mentioned that partner in crime niya si CMath module. The very reason is most of the functions in this module, if not all, utilize the complex values. For instance, if we use the square root function from the CMath module, pakita natin ng mas madaling maintindihan. So, gamit lang tayo ng CMath. Import natin yung module na to. And then CMath square root, yeah. Let's say 9. If we print it, you'll see that instead of just 3, it's a 3 plus 0j, so it's a complex type. Yung result niya is complex type. You can print the values of these variables using the print function, like this one. Xint. And let's print the other variables. I'll copy and paste it in here. Alright, so we're basically printing the values of these variables in the console. Let's run the program. So as you can see, nag-display na siya dun sa console natin. And we're simply displaying values here. We can also ask the user for an input. So we can do that in Python by using the input function. And this is how it's done. Let's say we define or we create a variable named x input and then input function and the prompt for the user. So for instance, we can use the enter any data. Pwede na yan. And then if we want to display the x input, we can use the print function again. So x input. Let's run it. So as you can see in the console, there's a blinking cursor that indicates that the program is waiting for you to input something or to enter something. Let's try 10. And also, using the print function, it displays the number 10. One important thing to remember in Python is that every time you try to ask the user an input using the input function, the data type of the result will always be string. So we can use the type function to determine what data type a particular variable is. Let's try the x input and let's run the program. As you can see, it's classified, or the x input is classified as a string type, though it's number. So remember, string can also contain numbers, right? So you don't have to worry because Python can convert, like any other programming languages, it can convert one data type to another. In our case, we can use the integer function or the float function to cast or to convert one data type to another. So let's use the input or this expression as an example. So the only thing that we need to do is to enclose the input function in a parenthesis and then lagyan natin ng int for integer. Okay. So if we run the program again, you will see that the number 10 is int now, or integer. So earlier it's string, so we typecasted it, or we convert the string to an integer type. You can also use float here. Okay, so it's float now, and kitang-kita nyo naman na yung result or yung number, it has a decimal point now, or a decimal place now. We can also convert it back to string. So from float or from integer, we can convert it back to string by using the str function. So let's try that. Let's say that we put in 10.0 earlier. So yung 10.0 from a float type, it is now string again. So technically speaking, you can do it by other data types, but yung tatlong data types na yun yung usually ginagamit to convert one another, kasi it's not logical to convert boolean and then none, since they have limited values. As for complex type, you can convert both integer and float types to complex type, but it's not vice versa. Let's try that. Let's use the xint as an example, and let's run the program. As you can see here, the number 10, or the number 10 on the integer or x int variable, it was converted to the complex type. Let's try the float. So it's the same, but since I mentioned that it's not vice versa, let's try to convert the x complex variable here, and let's see what happens. So we got a type error here, so it's not vice versa. I think that's it for this video. Alam ko may iba akong na-miss about the topic, but the stuff in this tutorial will help you to get started in Python programming at the very least. If you find this video helpful, click mo naman yung like button, then subscribe ka na rin sa channel ko. And don't forget to click the bell icon so you'll be notified if new videos are uploaded. Thank you guys for watching this video, and see you on the next one.